Hello everyone. So we have some data over here. It's just vibration data from one of the equipments, and I would like to find the peaks of the data. I heard that Excel now has Python, so let's try to give it a shot. To Python brackets. Oh, okay. Let's try some other way then. So to find the peaks in Python, we can use the find peaks command from SciPy, and it's a fairly straightforward function to apply. Okay, so we're going to use ChatGPT to write our codes. Okay. Write a Python script. So here is the code that ChatGPT generated, and just to explain it to you, all it is doing is it's loading the file, it's extracting the column data, so time and the y value. Then it runs the find peak command to get the index of the peaks. It uses these indices to find the time and the value at the peak. Okay? And then this would be your peak data, which you can then save to a CSV file. Okay, and let's copy this, and we'll go back to our folder, and we'll create a new text file and just put our code in here. So this is gonna be my script.py. Yes, and edit. I'm just gonna paste the code in here. Hopefully it should just work. Now you have to make sure that you have all these libraries installed already. So if you don't have them installed, you'll have to do something like install SciPy, for example. Okay, given that you have installed Python already, so you can see I have already installed Python, and it's set up properly. If it's not set up, follow another tutorial on how to set the environment variables up. Okay, so I have everything done. Let me save this, and I have the script file, and I can just double click the script file, and it should just hopefully run, and you should have a peaks file over here. Okay, it tells you where the peaks occur. Now we need to put this data back into this Excel sheet. So it's like a one-stop shop for everything. So to do that, you can go to data from CSV file, and choose the peaks that we just created, and it'll ask you where do you want to place it. I'll show you the data. Just say load to, and we're going to load it into the existing worksheet and exactly start here. Click OK. Okay, that's our peak found from this data. Now to add it to the plot, you can right click, go to select data, and the first we'll call this data, and we'll add a new one. We'll call it peaks. So now we cannot call it peaks because this table is called peaks. Okay, so peaks found, and the x value is the time column here, and the y value is the peaks. Okay, the y column here. Click OK, and click OK. Now it doesn't show up as peaks because both of them are line plots. So let's change the chart type and combo. So the data should be, let's do smooth line, and this would be scatter points, and just make sure secondary axis is not enabled. Click OK. and it seems to have found too many peaks. I mean, it kind of knows what the peaks are. So if you zoom in over here, 0.2. Okay, so it's kind of collecting there, but there are some parameters that we probably need to set in order for this to work correctly. So if you go back to the find peak, there are some parameters that you can set so that it can find these peaks better. One of them is distance. So you tell it like look for a peak within every 100 sample. Okay. To find the period of the cycle, you can just look at this number here. So this is roughly kind of 0.02. It's when the cycle repeats. And the number of points in each cycle would then be equal to 0.02 divided by the sample time. Okay, this is like it's sampling at every tenth of a millisecond. So let's do that. That's about 200 samples. So if you go back to your script, and you can then change, you can add the distance parameter equal to 200. Save your work, come back over here and go back to the data file, and you can run your script again. And if you come back here, it doesn't update until you refresh your data. So if you go back to the data column, you can refresh all. And so 200 might have been too much, so you might want to reduce it. But let's make a way in which we can do that within Excel. So I'll call this distance and Control Z. I don't want it to be part of that table. And 200. Okay, so there should be a way for my Excel sheet to read, Python to read this. So let's go back to our code. So when it reads this file again, it's going to see all the columns, T, Y, the new T and Y, and this distance column as well. And I can extract that and use that as my distance command over here. So distance equal to data. So that's my data file, distance. So that's the distance column, and I just need the first value from it. So 0. That'll be my distance, and instead of 200, this can be this variable here. Okay, so let's save this, go back here, and let's try 150 instead, and run your script again. Oh. And come back here and refresh data. Refresh. Okay, so a couple of things. We made changes here, but we never saved our file. So Python is probably reading the old file. So we need to save this file first, and then go back here, run the script, and come back here and refresh the data. And there you have it. So it kind of works. Okay. But again, it's not efficient to like go back and forth in this circle. It would be nice to have like one button over here that does it for you. So let's try to set that up. We can use a VBA script to do so. Again, we'll ask ChatGPT to write the code for us. So let me go back here. Okay. Okay, so it has prepared the code for us. I'm gonna copy it, go back to my Excel file, go to the developer tab, Visual Basic, or you can press Alt and F11. And here you would say insert module and then paste your code over here. Okay. Now to run this code, you can come back here and you could say insert a button. This is a button. Draw your button. And you can select the macro that you just added. Now the macro, let's go back and look at it and just adjust it based on what we need. Okay, so so it saves the file. This is the command that is used to save it. So we don't need the full path. I already called mine my script, and this one as well. This I don't. My Python is already configured, so I don't have to. I can just say Python, and that should work. Okay, and that's pretty much it. We create a shell. This this is all there. If result, we'll keep these message boxes there for now, and then probably remove it later, but let's see what happens. Okay, so now let's go back to 200 and click on the button, and there was an error. Refreshed. Okay, so there seems to be some sort of error. Let's go back. My script. Okay, so I tried to use a relative path, so we need to make sure that we are in the same place when you run the shell command, and sometimes the shell command is being executed at a different place. Okay, so let's ask ChatGPT how to fix this. So that's it. This is the current folder, this workbook.path, and then when you run the shell command, there should be a better way. So going back to our code, I kind of like investigated a bit. This should work. Where is it? This should technically work. You're doing like a change directory command to reach the same place where you are. But let's keep it simple. The simplest solution is to do this. Where is it? Paste. Okay, so the shell object, which is wsh dot set the current directory to wherever this file is saved. Okay, so now let's try and run it. Run the Python. Successfully have saved. Okay, see, it has updated and you lost a couple of points like last time. Okay, so now you can easily modify your parameters, you can modify your data. So I can like lose a couple of points over here. Let's delete it. I could change this to 100 maybe, and then you can just run the peek find command. Okay, and if you don't want to see that terminal open up every time, you can go back to your code, and let me just say okay first. And these message boxes, if you don't want them to pop up, you can go back here and comment out the message boxes. And this one is to show the normal window. If you don't want to see anything, just put 0 over there and run the code. Okay, so now you can see the changes immediately. Now if you want to save this, make sure you save it as a, go back, and then you can save this as a macro enable file, save. But don't forget to update your script. So it's no longer reading in XLSX, it's reading XLSM. Okay, Control S to save. You can then edit the text box, for example. You need to right click on it and say find peaks. And that's pretty much it for this tutorial. Again, you can extrapolate this idea to modify different parameters of your function and call different functions that have different buttons here. I hope this helps. Thank you.